I don't care what time of year it is or where you are. It is always nice to make your surroundings feel like a tropical paradise. And I do that with Rum Haven. The good people at Rum Haven believe that Mother Nature did it right the first time. That's why Rum Haven is crafted using real coconut water and no artificial preservatives or flavors. The result is a refreshing taste that can be enjoyed over ice with a splash of club soda or in your favorite cocktail to help you sip into paradise. I prefer my Rum Haven over ice, and it is delicious and wonderful. So visit discoverrumhaven.com for the latest tips, recipes, and giveaways.
You're crazy.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Viall Files. I am your host, Nick. My wonderful producer, Chrissy, is not with us today because she is driving to Montana, where she is going to be moving to, which, who moves to Montana, but whatever. And Chrissy's not going anywhere. She's going to be doing her omens work from the luscious plains of Montana. I don't, she's moving to Montana. Whatever. But you know what? The important thing is we have a great episode for you, recapping and breaking down another episode of Tayshia's Bachelorette season. And our guest is going to be part of our intro, the very talented, very wonderful Bachelor superfan, Bachelor performing artist, Russell Dickerson. Joins us.
Oh, yeah, man.
What's up,
Thanks
Russell?
for having me, dude.
Thanks for coming. This is a big week for you. You got a new album coming out, and you were on Jimmy Kimmel last night. For those of you who didn't get to see it, go back. I'm sure you can YouTube it. You're doing the press tour this week, and we thank you for being a part of recaps this week. I like to know that we're in the Jimmy Kimmel, Kelly Clarkson lineup of press tour.
Oh, you are, bro. Absolutely. You know, it's a nice little break to kind of, step back, talking about the album and all that stuff. Talk about a little Bachelorette drama. I'm here for it, dude.
I know. In fact, we've been working with Russell and his team to get him on this recap. He's been passionate about, sincere about wanting to come on and break down and share his thoughts on the season, and we couldn't be happier to have him. But before we do break it down, why don't you tell us a little bit about your music, your new album coming up, why it's the best country music album of all time, and why everyone should be quick to download it.
Dude, I mean, you said it yourself. You just nailed it right on the head. That's what I hope this album is. It's called Southern Symphony, and this album goes all the way back to my childhood all the way to now with my beautiful wife Kaylee and our little baby boy Remington. So these songs cover everything of life and love, and I could not be more proud of every single song on this album. We just came off a 2-week #1 with my last single, Love You Like I Used To. And the next single is called Home Sweet. So yeah, man, the album's called Southern Symphony, out December 4th. And man, just y'all go check it out.
Congratulations on all your success and your new album coming up, and make sure to check that out. And I think let's just get to Russell and I breaking down the episode of The Bachelorette.
Let's do it.
So thanks for joining us, Russell.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. I know that we've been trying to make this work for a while, and it's always fun to find out, various celebrities and people you might not come to expect to be big Bachelor fans. And I know that you and your wife are big fans, and it's always fun to get different points of view when we recap these shows. So welcome.
Hey, glad to be here. Absolutely glad to be here.
So, I'm sure many of you know who watch the show that Russell was a musical guest on Rachel's season, and you performed. As my audience knows, I wasn't allowed to watch that season, so I didn't get to see what I'm sure was an amazing performance. But what was the date? And for the people who don't know or don't remember, who was Rachel on a date with? Do you remember?
Yeah, this was Rachel and Dean. We were in
Rachel
like
and
South
Dean.
Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. Old Deanie babies. So he that was like, the classic like twinkly light setup, just coming back from dinner or whatever, and they pull up in the limo, hop out, and I got to play. I mean, this was like right before anything started happening for me. So this was like a huge launching pad for me, being on this show. And yeah, played my first single, Yours, and they just made out and danced. It was awesome.
Were you an avid watcher at that point, or is that what kind of got you in?
Oh yeah, for sure. My wife definitely dragged me in, and once you're in, it's like it's cyclical, dude. It just never stops. And so yeah, I mean, she brought me in, a couple years before that, and so I mean, we even like our friends tagged along. We got a tour bus and drove up there, and like our friends were like, we're going to watch this for sure. So we just like piled everybody in the tour bus and rolled to South Carolina.
That's amazing. As far as the experience, like what was it like for you? Was it everything you kind of expected, or from your point of view, like some of the behind the scenes, did it make you more of a fan? Did it almost make it too real where you couldn't be as much of a fan? Like, what was that experience like? Sometimes it affects people differently.
I think I came away from it just respecting the behind the scenes, man, all the production crew and all that, of like, because you just see on the show, it's just like, oh, Russell Dickerson's playing and they're making out and dancing, love it. But like, dude, we got there at like noon. We didn't end up playing till like midnight. So, it's just like the setup and the waiting and all the moving parts to pull all this off. There's just like crazy respect for the whole production staff. But I don't know, man. I kind of come away even more of a fan to see, how just like crazy the entire process is. Like they had just met however many days ago, maybe a week ago, because it was pretty early on in the season. And so I don't know. It's just like I loved being able to see everything behind the scenes.
Yeah. Was it like a private concert? Or was this Rachel and Dean and your band? Or was it like Rachel and Dean dancing in front of like a crowd that you got to play? Because sometimes they do both.
Yeah, this was a crowd. Okay, so luckily for us, that's like we actually could like perform to people, and they knew the song. And so it just like, that was it made it a lot more real. And like another fun fact is, while we were waiting, Chris Harrison just hops on the bus. We have a little maker's mark, and he's like, dude, why don't we just go fire this crowd up real quick? So me and him go out there, and me and him and my guitar, and we just play like all like some old country, like Friends in Low Places, and just like kind of do a little cover set gig just to kind of keep the fans. It was a little chilly, so it's just like that's awesome. Just like another fun memory from that whole show. I still have the bottle of Makers that we all signed that night.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
dude.
That's awesome. The stress of life weighs on all of us, but thank God for Theragun. I can't tell you, I was working out yesterday and I used my Theragun before and after and later on that day on my shoulders, because for me, I'm not great at stretching as much as I should, and the Theragun is a great way to warm up my muscles before I work out. It also is a great way to relieve stress. I mean, I use my Theragun constantly all day. It's saved me literally thousands of dollars on massages that I don't have to get anymore. And also in the world that we're in right now, you don't have to have any stranger touching you, breathing on you. Just use a Theragun. Whether you're an elite athlete or just a regular person trying to get through the day, muscle pain and muscle tension is a real thing. That's why I use it. The handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tensions using a scientifically calibrated combination of depth, speed, and power, and is now as quiet as an electric toothbrush. That's because the all-new Gen 4 Theragun has proprietary brushless motor that is so quiet you'll wonder if it's even on, while you soothe your aching muscles with the Theragun Signature Power Amp amplitude and effectiveness. I mean, it's just amazing. I love it. It is totally worth the investment. I wish I had this my whole life, and now that I do, I will never not have one. Try the Theragun 30 days. There is no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4 with an OLED screen, personalized Theragun app, and the quiet and power you'll need. Starting at only $199, that is a steal. Go to Theragun.com/VIAL right now and get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's Theragun.com/VIALL. Theragun.com/VIALL. It doesn't matter if you're stuck at home. No excuse not to still stay active. And you can do that with Echelon. Echelon offers the next generation of connected fitness bikes, fitness mirrors, rowing machines, and their all-new Echelon Stride Smart Treadmill. I have an Echelon bike. I love it. You have great world-class instructors that will motivate you with thousands of daily, live, and on-demand studio-level classes always available when you need them. Unlike their competitors, Echelon is affordable for everyone, and one membership lets up to 5 family members all work out at the same time. I love it. I love the classes. I use the my Echelon bike at least 3 times a week, and I do that because riding a bike is a great way to stay in shape, all while mixing in with other exercises that you have. Right now, you can try any Echelon fitness equipment at home for 30 days. Try it for free. No risks. Go to echelonfit.com/VIAL. That is ECHELON fit.com/VIALL. That's echelonfit.com/VIALL. When it comes to getting in shape, nothing feels as good as feeling of accomplishment of hitting your fitness goals and feeling great about yourself. And Echelon helps you do that. So how are you enjoying? So we got this season. We're in full on Tasha season. Claire is no longer Claire and Dale. I mean, they are. I shouldn't say no longer. They aren't dead. But well, how you been enjoying this season? What's been the thought from your camp in terms of the Bachelorette switchover? How things are progressing? What's your kind of recap? Bring us up to this current episode.
I'm loving it, dude. I'm loving like the straight to the pointness. This like Claire was like, boom, this is what I want. Dale done, and like that was, I mean, we knew it was coming from the previews, but like the fact when Tasha comes in, and I feel like she's the same way, you know, she's got her like dead set eyes on a few of these dudes, and you know, I just appreciate her to the pointness, and you know, not just like, oh, I'm just looking for love. It's like, no, I'm here to find a man, and I love that. I love that about her.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's get into the episode and start breaking it down.
Let's do it.
All right. So the episode kicks off with the one-on-one. Do we finally have like a normal episode, right? Like they actually started at the beginning of a week after a rose ceremony. Am I remembering that right? Yeah. And it kicks off with Zac C finally getting a one-on-one, and there's definitely before that they keep showing Ben almost breaking down every time there's a date card coming. Like Ben's just like, he's got to get a one-on-one. I mean, Ben is I mean, in the nicest possible way, Ben is getting a very favorable edit, all while showing how he like almost might snap. Because like, I'm sure as someone who's watched the season, right, you've seen other times where they'll show someone wanting a one-on-one date, and sometimes they sound ungrateful or they sound whiny and they sound like they're just not, you know, capturing the moments that are giving them. But they seem to be, at least for my interpretation, like Ben doesn't look that whiny. He, like, you almost feel sorry for him. They're like, it's like they're reinforcing that there's something there between him and Tasha. And he just has to wait. But every time we're just reminded that Ben hasn't gotten a one-on-one. Who knows what Ben might do if his name doesn't show up on a date card. But yeah, that's something you've definitely, has it annoyed you? Do you mind it? Do you like Ben? Has it made you sympathetic to, like, are you worried for him?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, she's already got her eye on a few dudes, and I think he could definitely use that one-on-one time, which we find out later on. He's definitely been dying for that time, and also even if he does get the time, he still talks about how he has trouble opening up and all that stuff. So yeah, I 100% agree.
But Zac gets it. Zac gets the 101, and there was definitely some throughout this episode. There were some throwbacks to my season. So the photographer on Zac and Tayshia's date was the same photographer that I had on my first group date. Was it Francisco? It was Francisco. What was his name? Delightful man. He shaved his mustache.
Yeah.
He designs his, I'm assuming he had his jumper or his onesie outfit. I remember he designed his own on my season. I assume it's the same. Delightful man, but they brought him back. It was good to see him.
You got to bring him back.
And he apparently is the foremost wedding photographer. Definitely a different, this was more of a one-on-one date. Again, back to like, they're just like struggling with like ideas in terms of having dates stuck in like one place.
Exactly. Stuck in the resort.
Let's do a photo shoot and make it super awkward because Tayshia's already been married. Also, Zac's been married, but we don't know this at this point. And so like, it was kind of, I don't know what your thoughts were, but like, it's funny because you watch it and you're just like, why are both of them making this so weird? Like, I get you've been married. It's a photo shoot. Yes, you're dressing up, and playing house, but like, but at the same time, I guess being in that world, like, I get it. Like, you have nothing better to do than to take everything seriously. Like everything is just meant to be almost earnest in a one-on-one time. And especially from Zac's point of view, like, this is your shot, right? Everyone, like your one-on-one, your first one-on-one, if you get a one-on-one, it's your shot, man. It's like, this is where you have an opportunity to like make your mark. And so, it's easy to fall in that trap of like just taking everything like at face value, even if it's, a photo shoot dressed up as a married couple on a dating show. But like,
even if it's you could tell immediately how big of a trigger it was for Tayshia. But she said that she was like, I thought it would be fun and silly in the moment of like deciding to do this. But then when it got to like right down to it, when they got there, you could see it was just like, oh shoot, like flashbacks. And I haven't been there. I don't know, but like, I feel like she takes all of that pretty seriously. And, and
I agree. I mean, I haven't been married and divorced, so I don't know. Like I'm watching it being like, okay, well, man, it's just a photo shoot. But, maybe, there's definitely some, the from a society's scar of feeling like, you only imagine to get married once type of thing. And we have a way of judging herself. So apparently Tayshia is, having a little relapse of kind of marriage and the seriousness of it and why she, the Bachelor kind of always does this. It's like, they're like checking in with the audience and the contestants of like, this shit is serious, man. This is about marriage, like, in case you forgot, you're getting fucking married at the end of this. And so like, clearly like, Tayshia and Zac, took that note and, I know they have a photo shoot. I
think it was like, they started with the most, like, they didn't ease into, like, they could have done it backwards. Like, they didn't ease into like goofy outfits, whatever. They went straight for like white dress, tux, walking down the aisle, like moment. And, but that's that. And then they went to like the goofier, like less wedding attire stuff, which kind of, that's when they like, I feel like they eased up a little bit from the weirdness.
I wonder if the whole day was as serious as they made it sound, but who knows? Like, it's entirely possible. Like, for 5 minutes, Tayshia was like, this is, super weird. And then they showed that. But the rest of the day. And then we get into the night portion, and as many one-on-one dates give us, we have Zac's tragic story, which I got to say, this guy really went for it, because he could have been like, hey, listen, oh, you were married? Me too, and then been like, it just didn't work out. And we all would have been like, oh, wow, Tayshia and Zac relate because they were both married, like kind of like Brandon had it. But like, that's just the start. Zac's just like, hold on. there's more. That's the best part. And then he just kind of keeps going. And it's like one beat after another. He's like, and then I had a drug problem. And then I got arrested. And then she left me. And he even subtly suggests there were days where he had bouts of depression. And he floated the idea that he was suicidal. He didn't say it. But he suggested like there might not be a tomorrow,
sure,
and that was I give Zac a lot of credit. He didn't have to do that, He certainly could have. He could have, you don't have to go on the show and like tell all your secrets, right? Like you can go on the show and be like, "Yeah, this shit was hard, and I'm insecure about this," and Bachelor Nation will be like, "Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Sad story. Great. I like you." But Zac's like, no. I'm going to tell you everything.
The date was 1998.
Yeah. And
he's like,
wow. So, what are... So
he's got my respect, though, dude. Like, I feel like a lot of dudes have trouble opening up on this show. And he was just like, you know what? Here it all is. Here's my addictions, divorce, and all that stuff. And I don't know. He's got my respect for sure.
Yeah, he really went for it, and it certainly I wasn't sure at first. It was like, Tayshia's listening, and she's kind of, you can't tell if she's just impressed by the honesty or she's like thinking in her mind, this is a little more than I bargained for. Sometimes when you're just like, hey, thanks for being honest, but like.
Like, dang,
like I don't know, and you're not really sure, right? Like at first, I was convinced that Tayshia was, it was a little too much. Like she was like, "Thanks for speaking your truth, and I like you, and you're really honest," but like, I don't know, too much for me. But
I think that is exact, because dude, Tayshia's face does not lie. So I think that is exactly what was going on through her head. But then I think what was like totally redemptive for the whole thing is he's like, and now I've been on the board of this like addiction facility for years now, which is like, that was kind of like a positive bomb drop for me. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like that is like, that was a huge turnaround and like even more respect.
Totally. But it's a weird thing because in that world, right, your time is so limited, right? So usually you're expecting stories like, again, like, oh, I got divorced and I'm in a better place. Right? You don't really you don't have a lot of time in that world for like follow-up questions and getting into the nitty-gritty, right? Like if you were dating someone, Russell, right? And they and on a third date they decided to open up to you about these big truths, and you're Tayshia, and you're just like, okay, well, it's a lot, and okay, but wow, you've recovered, and now you're heading up this board. That's great, but you definitely have follow-up questions like, well, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever relapsed? Have you ever like gone back? What's that like? Do you still struggle with at times? You definitely want to get a little bit more information about like, how good is this situation? You want to, and Tayshia doesn't get that time. There's no way. I mean, I wasn't there, but like their time's so limited that there's no way she didn't leave that date with like thinking of a bunch of follow-up questions you would normally want to ask that like the time you're like, oh, well, next time we talk, we'll do that. And I'm sure, I don't know how far Zac goes. He's definitely my top 3. So I'm going to assume at this point he gets a fantasy suite date. And so maybe those conversations come up then, but it definitely was a lot to unleash on Tayshia, and he definitely handled it well. And it was a lot of good stuff. But if you're Tayshia, you definitely have some more follow-up questions.
Definitely questions in the back of your mind for sure.
Yeah. So, but I mean, as far as like things that Tayshia said after a date, she seems to be as into Zac as anyone. I mean, those are things that are very specific. That it's from an edit standpoint. That's what Tayshia said. She clearly feels that way about Zac. She's excited about him. Yeah. I think she said something like, as far as any date she's had so far, like Zac has it all, you know, in terms of the type of relationship and maybe communication styles or just, you know, maybe she just feels safe around, you know, and it makes sense. Like I don't know Tayshia all that well. And you've heard a lot from Tayshia, even when she was on this podcast. Her divorce has been a big part of her story, both on the show, and it sounds like, you know, in her real life. Like sometimes when you watch this show, as I'm sure you've recognized, like there's a lot of people have their story, and sometimes their story is like, well, yeah, I guess I have a story, and if you want me to tell a story, I'll tell the story on a TV show. And sometimes people's stories are really like stories that they live with on a day-to-day basis, right? And it sounds like Tayshia's divorce is something that she like really lives with, right? On a day-to-day basis, that she, you know, she feels this, I don't know if it's shame or whatever. Like something like you know, if you get cheated on, you're just like, oh, you feel like this thing that you shouldn't feel, but we do. We have a way of doing this to ourselves, and a struggle that maybe something Tayshia's insecure with. So maybe Zac and his issues that he's dealt with, and he kind of owns all those things, maybe makes Tayshia feel safer. Maybe that could be a big reason why she is connecting with Zac. Yeah,
I do. I mean, if she, and I think she's kind of demanding that of these dudes, is like, you got to be real, you got to be open, you got to open up, you got to let me in. And you know, because she's so open, she's, you know, she's got that divorce that she, you know, feels like she needs to communicate with everybody, and that, you know, that's her choice. And I think her being so open, she expects that of these dudes too.
Yeah, totally. We don't want things that we put on our body every day to be toxic, and we should use deodorant every day, hopefully, so you don't smell. I mean, that's how I feel. Me personally, maybe you heard me say this, I am allergic to normal deodorants, and I've had to, up until this point of my life, use antiperspirants, which are even more toxic. But thanks to each and every, they're all natural deodorants I'm not allergic to, because they don't put a bunch of crap in it. And I smell wonderful. And now I have the peace of mind of not smelling great while not having to worry about putting toxic things on my skin, which is, as you know, the largest organ on your body. Each and every deodorant is made with just 6 simple ingredients, including coconut oil and dead sea salt, plus essential oils for fragrance. Scents like cedar and vanilla, calamus and green tea, and coconut and lime. Each and every has proven to provide odor protection equal to antiperspirants without aluminum. I can't tell you how much it's really changed my life for the better, and you should absolutely get on this train. No baking soda, no aluminum, no other harmful chemicals that go into your body when you're using antiperspirants or regular deodorant. Each and every is vegan, cruelty-free, and sustainably sourced, even under their new eco-friendly plant-based packaging, helping to support a healthy lifestyle and the planet. We know you'll love each and every and will want to share it with others like we are. Make sure to check out their limited edition gift sets and bundles now, and take advantage of this great offer for our listeners. 30% off your first package. Go to eachandevery.com/VIALL and use promo code VIAL. Remember, it's 30% off. Use promo code VIALL at eachandevery.com/VIALL. Guilt-free deodorant. Well, who doesn't like wine? I've really never met someone who doesn't, but I'll tell you what, sometimes, you know, us single serving people, we don't need to have to drink a whole bottle at once. Sometimes we want to crack open a bottle and only have a glass or two. And then we're like left with like leaving it out, and sometimes it goes bad. Well, not with Usual Wines. Usual Wines is doing some great things out there with their wine, but most specifically, their 6.3 ounce heavy pours is about 1.5 glasses of wine, a perfect serving size. No more pouring wine down the sink when you don't want to finish the bottle because of the single serving format and bottle design. Usual is always fresh. No more flat, bubbly, or stale rosé. The wines are low carb and have 0 grams of sugar. What? Usual wines have a red blend, a rosé, and a sparkling white wine called Brut. I'm a red blend guy. You know, that's just me. They also have a limited production Brut Rosé just for the summer. Usual Wines is made from the world-class AVAs, that's American Viticultural Area, in California like Napa, Sonoma, and Santa Barbara, and are made with minimum intervention, 0 sugar, and 0 additives. But don't grapes contain sugar? Well, to clarify, all usual wines are produced using natural, sustainable grapes harvested every fall. These grapes are picked at optimal ripeness to ensure all sugars will be fermented completely until the wines are dry with no residual sugar. Wow, that's some fun knowledge and makes me feel better about drinking more wine. Usual has a very special holiday product coming early November, Usual Reserve. It's an ultra-premium limited edition Mount Veeder Cabernet Sauvignon introducing Usual Reserve. This is their most special wine yet. It's just in time for the holidays. Hailing from one of their most celebrated plots of land in all of Napa, this Cabernet Sauvignon is concentrated and rich with just enough grip. Gift it to someone special or just keep it for yourself. The holidays, as usual. Go check out their website at usualwines.com and use my discount code VIALL for $8 off. Try their first glass on us. So you feel good about Zac? Where would you rate Zac at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's definitely top 5 for sure.
Oh, you're only in top 5. So, well, I guess who are your top 5 right now?
Dude. I mean, number 1, dude, I think Brendan has taken the lead.
Brendan?
I think, yeah.
Really? He's my favorite. I think he's the hottest guy in the group.
Straight up, dude.
Like
I think he's definitely taken a big lead.
Yeah, he's super good looking in a not as traditional way. Mm-hmm. But I mean, God, his eyes. He's got great eyes. He's got the curly hair. And
totally.
I totally agree with you, but I just don't. I don't buy it for Tayshia.
Okay. All right.
Only because, like, sometimes that first one-on-one that people get, it's not entirely always the case, but it often serves a very important role of storytelling in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think Tayshia likes him.
Totally.
But I haven't
seen it. One-on-one.
I think he crushed, like, even and we'll get into the group date, but I think he's great. I think he's fantastic. He's one of my favorites. I just don't know if he's Tayshia's favorite.
Okay. All right.
But all right, so you got Brandon number 1.
I got Brendan. Dude, up until this daggum episode, my boy Eazy.
Oh.
Like,
see, you got it's not who you like the best.
I know. And that's what I realized in this episode. Like, me and my wife were talking about it. Me and Kaylee were talking about it, and it's like, he's like, dude, she said you and Eazy would be like absolute best friends. And I was like, 1,000,000%. And, if I was on this show, I don't know if I would have been right for Tayshia. You know what I mean? It's like, but Eazy, dude, freaking love that guy.
I really like Eazy. Sometimes I was watching it with my friend, and I was telling her, I was just like, in the beginning of the date, I was like, Easy's going home. Watch.
Yeah.
I saw it like the whole time.
Dude, within the first 20, 30 seconds, there's no like arm around, there's no like kissy, snuggly, smoochy, and I'm like, bro, you got to get in there, dog.
Yeah, but he was said like chances are he was always going home.
True.
I mean, we'll break it down towards the end, but
we'll get there.
Yeah. So you liked Eazy, but all right,
loved it, but yeah, obviously not top 5. Ivan, I think he's crushing it too.
Yeah,
he's been getting some time.
So if you had to pick your top 4 for hometowns, who would it be for Tayshia? Who would it be as of right now?
I think Ben will make it to hometowns.
Yeah.
So
you got Brandon, Ben, Ivan.
Dude, I bet Zac will make it
Zac's
too.
your top 4? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ivan, Brandon, Ben. Yeah, that's a good top 4.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
I kept thinking Spencer, but Spencer hasn't done shit since he showed up and got that first impression rose.
Yeah.
As far as first impression roses go, I don't remember a contestant, especially on The Bachelorette, because historically, as you know, first impression rose, including Dale, has been like a total front runner. In fact, I mean, as you know, like the first impression rose winner has won The Bachelorette almost every season, and if they don't win, they're like top 2 or 3, right?
Sure.
But then you have Spencer. Spencer's comes in hot, great looking guy, seems charming. He's like comfortable talking to Tayshia. He's not intimidated in conversation, and he's really completely fallen off the map.
Yeah. I think it was just a big splash of like bringing in the new guys.
Yeah.
And I think they just used that to make Spencer seem like this big bad dog. And as time goes on, it just like I'm looking at the whole lineup here, and I'm like, who?
Yeah.
You know,
So you've forgotten about it. Like all he had this episode was some commentary around the Noah and Bennet drama.
Yeah.
That's literally he's resorted to like a narrator on this season. Right. This is a guy who I like. This was a guy when he showed up was like, this guy could win. This guy could maybe be top 3, or maybe he'll be the villain, or all 3. And now he's just like, pretty good looking guy who's there to like, help us recap what's going to remind us.
Exactly. He's just been demoted to the peanut gallery.
Yeah. I mean, it's entirely possible. Like, this season is so different because they're working with less time, right? Like, I still don't know. Like, I'm not sure. I'm assuming that I don't know if they're having extra episodes, right?
Right.
So they're trying to cram in a whole season of Tayshia with less weeks, and it just, character arcs and storytelling for these characters or these guys just might go differently. So it's entirely possible Spencer could still get a one-on-one, and when he does, he is a big part of the story. But like Ben hasn't had a one-on-one, right?
Right.
And yet, even though every episode, that's part of the Ben story is that he's waiting for this one-on-one. And even when he's not getting a one-on-one, he's getting these moments of like, we're seeing Tayshia and Ben, or we're seeing the problem, their lack of communication. And Ben's not showing up, as Tayshia is constantly saying, right? So like, we're being told that like, pay attention to Ben, even when he's not getting a one-on-one. And we're just not being told to pay attention to Spencer. So like, I'm just wondering if we shouldn't. And which is just, like, it's just a kind of something I just thought about. Like, it's so not typical of someone who gets a first impression rose on The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Usually they're like a villain, right? Like, it's like, if they're not their favorite, okay, I thought I liked this guy. It's just weird that like even from a show production standpoint, he's just not getting into any drama. It's just I'm kind of fascinated with it. So I don't know. We'll see.
I agree.
I don't know. So then we move into Zac gets the rose. He solidifies himself as a top contender, and now we have the group date rose. The group date. Which what were your thoughts on the group date overall? Just general.
They
like the emotional, like the art date where they all kind of express themselves.
I mean, I think it was. I mean, that's exactly what Tayshia wanted from everybody.
Yeah,
like to open up, to be real, and then when they made the clay, I was like, when they started doing that, I was like, somebody's gonna make a wiener, 100%.
Of course, somebody.
Of course, dude. And so, dude, that had me dying. I think Brendan crushed it. The picture frame turned sideways. Beautiful.
It was so great. It was so simple. You thought he's mailing it in, but his delivery is
dude.
I loved it. I was just like, oh my God, you're hot.
Yeah, I would have picked him for the extra one-on-one time for sure.
Ivan's was good. I mean, to be honest, I think this might have been one of my favorite group dates of all 100%. Time on any season ever, because as someone who's been in that position, like, it humanized those people, the guys. It made you kind of like them all in a very endearing way. And unlike your heavy-handed one-on-ones that like talk about these tragic, like these weren't about like tragic stories. These were just like kind of a simple self-expression, as they talked about their insecurities and hopes as humans. And like, anytime you get anyone to talk about that, it just endears you to them. It's like, have you ever heard of that, like, one, like, there's this like, fall in love with someone in like 20 minutes type of test, where like, if you like, there's this whole thing, like, if it's you and a person, and let's say like, if you're attracted to women, then you and another woman, or that somebody you're physically attracted to or have some sort of attraction to. and that you can sit down and like if you go through these questions and they're like they get more and more personal and you open up more, and just like by definition when you do that you kind of fall for someone. And this was like a little bit of that, where from a show standpoint I loved it because it kind of endeared you to even all the men, even Ed. I don't remember what Ed did, but you're just like, you know, I've been critical of Ed. Right. Just like, you know, because these are all people, right? And I think we often forget about that on the show, that they're like, these are human beings. And we saw, as we saw with Tayshia, I think it made her more invested in all the, like, the more the lead cares about all the contestants as humans, and like, and I mean really cares, like feels like emotionally attached, the better TV it is. But like, I just thought it was like one of the better episodes. And,
absolutely.
For all those reasons.
I do too, bro. I think, you know, like you said, once they started to open up, like you just like, oh man, like that's cool that you went to that deep level on national television, and you know, like there is not a lot of time left. There's not a lot of time that each of these guys are going to get to one-on-one and have that deep emotional time. So everybody just went hard in the paint on that self-portrait, dude.
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit. I wonder if I don't know if the producers meant this or not, but because time is so limited, and it's like, hey Tayshia, you showed up late. We need to like fucking like get these relationships going, right? There's just not enough time. And I gotta say, like, this little exercise that they had the guys do was a great way to like leapfrog these relationships and feel connected. I thought it was a real clever way, and I honestly would love to see this date replicated in some way, shape, or form on every season going forward.
Agree.
To like have these people kind of more even earlier on, just kind of like let the audience know and the lead know like what are their like what's their like real soft spots, you know, like where are they most relatable as humans to everyone else. I thought that was great. What did you think
about Ben's self-portrait?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. You tell, like, what was your thoughts about? Well, because at this point you don't know about Ben's story, right? So we see Ben. You know, he's struggling. We keep, Ben can't communicate. We're just told, well, all these other guys are nailing it, and you know, like then it's like Ben's not saying anything. Then Ben walks out. Ben comes back naked. You're like, what? Yeah. And like, Ben has a hot body, right? So, as a guy, were you wondering, nice subtle flex, Ben, or like, you know, like this wasn't like, I don't know, some guy who came out who's maybe a little insecure about like taking his shirt off. You know, he usually swims with a t-shirt on or something. I don't know. Right. You know? And he's like, here, this is what I'm fucking insecure about, like my naked body. And I'm going to do this and have this be. But no, Ben takes his robe off. He's a chiseled Greek god.
Jacked,
What was your take? Did it win for you, or were you in the moment, even before knowing Ben's personal struggle, were you eye rolling? Did it work on you? What was the wife's thinking? I'm really curious.
Dude, I was about to say, my wife, Kaylee, was just like, bro, seriously, wow, you know? And I was like, okay, I totally see that. But also, like, they walked into a nude drawing session anyway. Yeah. You know, so that's already kind of like happening. And then I feel like if there's a little, I guess he could have gone deeper in his speech about why he chose to get naked. You know, it's like, I give you this body, I give you whatever. I'm like, okay, like you're jacked, you're ripped, you look awesome, bro. But like more of like, I don't know. I just like, I was expecting a little more depth in his speech of why he got naked.
And I couldn't honestly tell if Tayshia was touched by whatever he said, or she was just like, he's so fucking hot, I can't wait to like be in a, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's clearly attracted to him. Yeah. And it was just like, it was hard to tell if it was like awkward or, you know, as I'm sure you've heard, like the difference between like hot and creepy is this whether the other person receiving the, you know, is into it or not, right?
Yeah,
and Tayshia's into Ben, so like,
I think
she's like,
think
great, you're naked. I'm into this.
Yeah, I think she was into it. I think the vulnerability that he'd been lacking came across to Tayshia, and I think she was into it, dude.
Did it change your wife's perception of Ben's approach after hearing Ben's story about struggling with bulimia and having an eating disorder?
See that, I think, I don't know if she really like cared on it.
That's
but
fair.
But I totally see that. Like,
you're like it makes me more of a metaphor. Like if he had bulimia, clearly he had body image issues, right?
Exactly.
And here he is, like being vulnerable, like taking his clothes off. Like you could look like Ben and still like see a different person in the mirror. That's possible.
I think, dude, and I think he could have thrown that in there. Like, this is something that I've struggled with for years of my life. This is me being, you know what I mean? Like he could have thrown that in there, maybe a little speech in front of Tayshia.
So you think had he admitted his eating disorder naked in front of the guys with Tayshia, that would have been a bomb.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, that would have been
that. But not in like I struggled with bulimia for a decade, but like just some sort of little nugget, of something a little deeper. But I mean, I still got to give the man credit for dropping everything in front of all those dudes in America.
Yeah, and maybe it's just about Ben, whether it's who he is, and I think it is, or like just the edit he's getting. He just doesn't seem like a douchey guy at all.
Right.
Like,
dude, I was just about to say that.
Had Spencer done that, had Noah done that, had maybe any other guy done that, you would have been like, okay. But cool, Ben definitely has this, very sincere side to him that he's earnest and he's open about talking about how he's not good at being open. And so it didn't, I mean, it was like, it raised some eyebrows, but it definitely didn't scream douchey. It was just like
100%.
It was like maybe a small red flag. Are we seeing something about Ben we're not seeing? But then we find out about the eating disorder, which I gotta say, I was of all the stories we hear on one-on-one dates, and as I'm sure, like you being a fan, it's become almost, in some ways a joke that people come in with their sad stories. Some are more sad than others, right? Some are some real heartbreaking stories that really endear us to to people, and some of them are like, I got cheated on once, okay. But for a show that has 25, 30 new women, and we always hear about eating disorders. Eating disorders are a really prevalent thing in our society that we don't talk about a lot. And yet, of all the sad stories, I don't remember men or women really talking about that.
Sure.
And I think it was kind of fascinating, and hopefully an awareness sort of way. I think it was really powerful to have a guy to talk about it, right?
Yep.
Because I think that's a huge misconception that only women struggle with eating disorders. And it's probably more prevalent with women. I don't have any data to back that up, but that's my guess. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen with men. And I give Ben a lot of credit to talk about that. I mean, it's like back to back, like heavy admissions of their stories between Zac and Ben, just being like, no. Look, here, I'm going to be real fucking honest with you about something that I, like a lot of these stories, like when I was on the show, I remember talking about how I was cheated on or something, or no, I mean, I did. It wasn't or something. But like, I don't know. I wasn't that worried of feeling judged or whatever. These are like honest stories between Zac and Ben where it's just like, you're really putting yourself out there.
The stuff that they're talking about, bro, is like their deep personal, like darknesses, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. It's like they're, I don't know. That feels super vulnerable to me, dude, especially eating disorders. Like you said, typically, women are the one who talk about that, but it's like a dude with an eating disorder opening up. And yeah, I mean, shout out to them, bro.
I give Ben a lot of credit for that because
it was his sister. Like literally only his sister knew.
Oh, was it his sister?
Now,
okay.
Yeah. And now the
America.
world.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I'm kind of, I thought about this last night when I was watching it. We're just like, we haven't, of all the things this show has brought awareness to, you know, like you would think an eating disorder would be more commonly talked about as like someone's sad story, but it just hasn't. And props to Ben for bringing some awareness to it, and especially the fact that, you know, men can struggle with it too.
For sure.
And yeah, it was really heavy, and I really enjoyed that conversation. But also, like, props to him for, like, he still looks good, man. Like it's as far, he's in peak physical condition. So I don't know. Yeah, wild times.
Yeah.
So wait, yeah. So then that's the. Oh, and then we get into the Noah. That's when the Noah. Where do you land on Bennet and Noah?
Oh, dude. Well, we already talked about Eazy, but dude, I think this little Bennet, Noah, like sit down and then there's one rose situation. Love it. Like
from a TV standpoint.
Yes,
yeah, it's
dude.
amazing.
This needs to be on every season. Like when there's this teenage drama, AB in the room, one rose, the contestant comes and sits down, talks it out, and somebody goes home, somebody stays. I freaking love this whole concept, dude. I love it.
Do you before we break that down, what are your general thoughts on Bennet and Noah as individuals, and are you picking a side, or do you just like the drama overall?
No, dude, I can't say I'm a Bennet fan, dude. He's just like, I don't know. I think he does talk down to people. He uses his wit and his big words to make people feel just tiny, and he's like, that's a trigger for me. Like verbal manipulation is like not cool with me. And so like when you use big words and try to talk over people, and so definitely not a fan of that. But also, I don't know. I think.
What do you think of Noah? Noah got a lot of heat last episode for like being the villain, but
right.
What did you think about that?
And speaking up for the house doesn't cut it for anybody, especially this episode. They've already smashed a couple dudes for saying that.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone says that. It's
right. Yeah. And so I think, well, first of all, he's 25, and I got to put myself in being 25 and on this show. I probably would have done dumb shit too, and gotten super emotional regarding what this whole beef. But I don't know, dude. I'm not. I think he's super young, obviously a little immature to go to Tayshia and tattletale on the whole house being fed up with Bennet or whatever. So I send them both home, dude. I don't care. I'm
more team Noah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying Noah is innocent of or above any criticism, but
if I had to pick
the tattling, I'm here to tell you that it's not entirely Noah's fault. It may not even be his idea, and that's just how we're seeing it.
Yeah.
And even still, like, Noah's been put in a corner. This is a classic. This is like old school Bachelorette of like, we talk about right reasons. Nothing like, I agree with you about the talking down and the condescension, but actually nothing makes me more frustrated, especially in that world where people start speaking for the lead. It's like, they'll never be with you. It's like, I don't know if Tayshia's going to be with, well, I mean, I can confidently say, and I think you would agree, that Tayshia's not going to end with any of these guys. But she has a much better chance of ending up with Noah than Bennet.
I would choose Noah over Bennet for actually ending up with Tayshia.
Noah has all of Noah's actions seem to be focused on Tayshia. They might be misguided. They might not be the best approach, but they seem to be about Tayshia. Where Bennet, even though he's accusing Noah of talking about other guys,
Yes.
I don't know what Bennet has ever done to make me think that he's there for Tayshia.
Bro, exactly. He talks about every time I get with Tayshia, it's 100% me and her. I don't talk about anybody else. And I'm like, bro, in your freaking art presentation, you were just like dogging Noah with, like whatever he was talking about, his little puzzle. Was that? I don't know. He was just literally like looked over at Noah and acknowledged during his art presentation that he's supposed to be pouring his heart out to Tayshia.
Yeah, totally. I really liked Bennet when the season started. I thought Bennet was aware. Bennet talked a lot about self-awareness this episode and emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. And you probably didn't listen to my episode last week, but my big premise on Bennet was I like Bennet if Bennet is self-aware enough to realize that he is a dork. Like he's a nerd. And I say that liking dorks and liking nerds. But like if Bennet knows that like if this whole I went to Harvard and I live this kind of like fancy life is kind of a joke because he's leaning into the corniness that is thinking that you're special because you come from, then it's funny, But I'm realizing that this might be who Bennet is. Like Bennet actually thinks he's Pierce Brosnan and not like just kind of generally an awkward guy who just happens to be tall and have good bone structure, but is just a real fucking dork with a lot of insecurities underneath.
I was about to say, dude, it just the further this goes on, just little insecurities start popping out. And like, dude, Noah's got the swag that Bennet will never have.
Yeah.
And I think
yes, Bennet sees that.
His 1, 2, 3, 4 emotional intelligence breakdown was basically like just dogging to put himself above Noah's like natural swag, I guess.
I think that's totally, you're right, absolutely right. Noah has a natural swag to him. He has a confidence. Joe from this season was on our podcast last week and talked like Noah is a traveling nurse who, before he went on the show, was on the front lines of fighting COVID. He has 10 brothers and sisters. Noah is not intimidated by like something as petty as a bunch of guys on a reality TV show going after one girl. And it's a very intimidating world, but I'm like Noah, he's just like, whatever. This is silly. I'm fighting COVID. I'm a nurse. I'm dealing with literal life and death. Oh, by the way, I grew up in a household where like I wasn't told I was special by my mom and dad because there was 2 of us. Like I had to fight for cereal. I say this having 10 brothers and sisters that like, every morning was like, do I get the Lucky Charms or are they going to be gone by the time I wake up? Right. And it's a dog world in a family of 11 siblings. Incredible. So like I empathize with Noah and it's just like, he's just not like, there's a pettiness in this world that Noah's gotten unfortunately sucked into because like where I feel bad for Noah is that he's not being petty. He might be aggressive. He might be sometimes, you could argue, inconsiderate of the other guys. He might be misguided, but he isn't petty. He's just being called out for doing something the other guys think he should just not do because he's not of the OG crew. He's not getting in line with like, here's how we do things in this world before you showed up. And Bennet is being petty and like Noah just has to respond to it. Like, I'm 100% team Noah when it comes to this.
Okay, dude, you just broke that down in a real way. I love that, dude. Yeah. I didn't know he had that many siblings, which makes 100% sense of like him when he came back from that. He's like, dude, I said it. All these dudes are a bunch of wieners. I think he literally said wieners, and I'm like, dude, that makes so much more sense now. Of like. Just not even dealing with any of the pettiness bullcrap. He's just like
all stupid, and he's just like, "This is dumb," like,
cheers to that breakdown.
Yeah, and Noah does. You're right. He has a swag that like some people have and some people don't, and Bennet doesn't have any swag, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that because if you don't have swag, all you have to do is be aware that you don't have swag, and you can have like Ivan. I mean, Ivan has swag, but Ivan doesn't have the swag that Noah has. Right. Ivan's swag comes from having, being like the nerdy chess player and being very, Ivan's so self-aware, right? Ivan knows who he is, and he's also young. and he knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he's fine with acknowledging those both, and that's what gives him his swag. You know, like where Noah's swag just comes from this like general like swag. I don't know what it is, but some guys is like, fuck, this guy knows, like, you know, and it's driving Bennet nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just tries to flex his book knowledge 1, 2, 3, 4 to put himself back above it, and he's just, I think he's crashing and burning, dude. I think Bennet goes home.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely. I totally agree. Last night I put the odds on my top 3 scenarios to open up, obviously, next episode, because we're left with the cliffhanger, is Noah stays, Bennet goes home. They both go home. And option 3 is that Bennet stays and Noah goes home. I think because like Noah has a connection with Tayshia. Like I don't we're just dismissing this because we're told that he's 25, but Tayshia likes him. Yeah. You know? I don't know if it's as much as she likes Ben or Zach or some of the other guys, but like Tayshia likes Noah. And she like doesn't even know Bennett's there. I mean, she knows Bennett's there, but like he is, as far as Tayshia is concerned, from what I can tell, he's just part of the TV show. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the little nugget that they left us with when it was like, what's this present? And it was like, to be continued. It was like, dude, Noah's just about to, I think he's going to use that. He's going to like, Bennett's going to try to explain it in his smart, nerdy way. And then Noah's just going to be like, look, he did this to belittle me. He's, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Well, if Noah's smart, he doesn't say anything. True. Because the present speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Like
that's very true.
Noah's biggest mistake that he makes is he's like, and I get it. I get where Noah's coming from. He's trying to like share his perspective, his truth, right? Like, well, let me explain. But like, it's obvious what's going on, right? Like it's even when you pointed out, right? Like Bennet was making remarks. Tayshia noticed, right? Like it was Noah said something about him being privileged, and Bennet took offense to the criticism of Noah suggesting that he was privileged while Bennet is constantly acting like he's privileged. And whether Bennet is privileged or not, we don't really know, which is behind Bennet's point. But like, if you don't want to be called something, don't act like you are.
Yeah.
I don't, you know.
Totally.
I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
yeah.
Absolutely. And when Tayshia sits down with him, dude, they gave you just like a quick, just a little taste of Bennet crashing and burning. And I think that's just going to keep spiraling and spiraling in the next episode, dude.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because hearing Tayshia say, "What's in that box?" Like clearly she said that at another time because you didn't see her mouth moving. It was like she must have asked for it, but like, you know, I'm just wondering why they felt the need to have Tayshia say it in a word. What's in that box? Like Tayshia definitely did not say that in the moment because like they panned down to the box and it was like it sounded like a dubbed voice or whatever. But yeah, my guess is it'll open up. And you're right. From the best TV moment, it will be Noah just is like, I mean, it's a gift that Bennet gave me. And then Tayshia will be like, oh, like, maybe you guys resolved it. And then Bennet will be like, well, let me explain what's in the box. And he will earnestly be this asshole. Like, and back to like some odes to my season, like emotional intelligence was like such a hot topic between Taylor and Corinne on my season. And if you guys don't remember, anytime someone tries to call out someone else for being emotionally intelligent in the Bachelor world, only sounds like an asshole.
Yes.
Like, and Bennet talked about self-awareness. Like, I don't think Bennet's self-aware at all. I mean,
no.
I think Bennet called himself out. All the things that he is accusing of Noah, it seems more obvious that that Bennett's lacking and deficient in those categories.
Yeah, just because he's aware of those 4 steps of emotional awareness, he's aware of the 4 steps, but I don't think he is aware emotionally. You know what I mean? Like he knows what 1, 2, 3, and 4 is.
And if I'm going to try to give Bennet credit, he's just like, he calmly and politely tells Tayshia that he disagrees with her assessment that Bennett's point of view is kind of diminishes Tayshia's credibility. You know how she's just like, well, you're kind of undermining my decision. And Bennett's like, well, I don't see it that way. I believe that Bennet believes that. Like, he's not, it's one of those like, listen, I'm not trying to be a dick. You're like, congratulations. You're not trying to be a dick. You just naturally are. So
you just can't help it.
Great. You can't help it, but thanks for not trying.
Yeah. And that was the start of the downfall before they hit to be continued. Like, you could see it in her face. She was like, excuse me. You know what I mean? Like, she flipped a switch, and that was like the first, like, Bennett's going home.
Yeah, I mean, it's my guess is, from Tayshia's standpoint, is that you can tell that Bennett's generally liked by the guys in the house, right? Mm-hmm. And you can tell that the guys are kind of team Bennet. Like, you could even tell going into the drama that you got some like Spencer talked about some other guys. You can tell they kind of like Bennet better. Now, part of it is like, we just go to this whole thing where, because of this way the season is, these guys know Bennet. They're friends with Bennet. Noah's the new guy. He's the outsider who came in hot. And so they just, for no real reason, they generally like are put off by Noah. And you know what? You know what Bennet isn't to these other guys? A threat. You know, because these guys don't, he's not a threat. They don't look at Bennet, and they don't see Bennet as a threat to Tayshia at all. So they're just like, you know what, Bennet, you go be Bennet. You act however it is you act, and they think it's funny. But Noah, they might not think he's going to end up with Tayshia, but he's a threat. Like, he's going for it. His focus is on Tayshia, and that's a threat to those guys. Yeah. And that's just those are the facts. And so those guys, and so what I'm saying is, like, Tayshia definitely senses that Bennett's more popular in the house, and this show every season kind of tells you, so often, and not always correctly, that, like, if they're not popular with the group, that's a red flag. Like, they have to be in the in crowd. If they're not popular, then there's a reason why you need to look into that. And that's definitely not the case, because sometimes the house turns on someone for no reason other than, like, they're the new guy, they're the outsider, they're a threat, and they're just not getting in line.
And the fact that he doesn't give a crap and just jumps right in there, like, hops the fence on that group date, and then eventually, like, steals the night with her, dude. Like, that was a ballsy move. And like you said, like, this is how we do things on the show. These are the steps. And he was like, screw it. Jumped the fence, got the date, and, like, hung out with her the rest of the night. Like, shout out to him, bro. You've just changed my mind on Noah. Like, knowing that he has all these siblings means that you don't give a crap. Like, my wife has 5 older brothers. She's not afraid of dudes. She's not afraid of, like, big groups, crowds, anything, dude. She'll walk straight up to CEO of any whatever and, like, boom, just, like, win them over immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the swag that you can't learn at Harvard. Like, he straight up just has it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Noah's getting a bad, and I don't like to say, but Noah's getting an unfair edit, because, people, I've said this to me, Noah's getting a very similar edit that I had on Andy and a little bit of Caitlin's season, right? If you break down their individual actions, they're not really doing anything. Like, in life, that's a crime. They might, their soundtrack is a little menacing. They're not getting the Ben, always romantic, always endearing music behind all of his actions. Yeah. But, like, you look at what he's actually doing, he's doing nothing wrong. He's actually just focused on the girl, right? And he's and you're responding to how popular or unpopular he's seeming in the house, but he's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And so it's I'm 100% team Noah in this situation, because more than he's as much there for Tayshia as I can tell as any of the other guys.
Sure.
And he's just like, what else would you do if people are constantly, like, just talking shit about you? I mean, that house, having been in that world, it's petty. They want to make you feel like an outsider, the other people, and it's cliquey. And as a 25-year-old, I think Noah's doing the best he can with that situation. I don't know. I'm definitely definitely a Noah stan, and I'm here to defend him.
Sold me on him, dude. Sold me on him straight up.
So last but not least, obviously the Eazy one-on-one. I mean, it is what it is. Obviously a very likable guy in the season. I think we all enjoyed him. Charming. He was a good narrator. He seemed lovable. But I saw it the whole time, and part of it is because just kind of like for other people who like breaking down the show, you had too many like good dates. To be honest, it's time for a bad one. So you had the Zac good date. You had Ben had a great moment. Ben's moment, even though it was on a group date, was a very kind of one-on-one moment, right? And sometimes they'll do that and kind of throw you off. But like, can you remember a time where Eazy and Tayshia really had a moment?
No, dude. That's the thing is like, I was thinking back to like Brendan's date. I think that was the previous episode, and like, they were riding the horses and kept getting interrupted by Chris Harrison. Kept getting interrupted. He was talking about that, and like, but Eazy. So this is what I'm saying is like Eazy. They're in a haunted house. Like, how are you going to connect?
Yeah.
In any way when you're just like freaking out and like running to and fro around this haunted property. There's no, I mean, I think first of all, he set up for failure.
Oh yeah. I mean, and this is bad. As good as the group date was, and I give the producers like all the credit, like that was brilliant. And the haunted house was just equally as bad. Now, granted, again, what are they going to do? They're stuck. But like, it wasn't even a haunted house, right? They're at the La Quinta. Yeah. It wasn't like when they're, they didn't go to like Rome and like, they met with the tourist board. Like, hey, by the way, there's this like ancient haunted house. It's like world famous. And like, you should have a date there. And they're like, oh, great. And whether you believe in ghosts or not, it's just known as a haunted house. No, this is like an empty room. They just like changed the filter on. I
know, dude.
Okay.
So, but I mean, what I'm saying about Brendan is like he kept getting interrupted. Like he was talking about how it kept getting interrupted, but dude, he brought it home at the end of the date. Yeah. He became like, he won her over at the end of the date. But then Eazy, dude, just went from haha laughy haunted house to like, I love you.
As soon as Eazy said, I'm falling in love with you, with absolutely no grounds behind it, I was watching with my friend, and I bet her, I'm like, this guy's going home, and she's like, no way. And because she hasn't been watching, Eazy came on, thought he was really attractive. Oh, like this guy's Eazy, stud. He's funny, he's charming. What's not to like? And I'm like, nah, going home. And then as soon as he said, I'm falling in love with you, I was like, now I'm positive. Because like, you're what? You're in love with them based on what? And that's like, that was a kid. Like, because that gives Tayshia an opportunity to say, well, you're there. I'm not there yet. And hearing you say that reinformed me that I need to let you go. It was classic.
I think he's got swag. He obviously good looking dude, hilarious, life of the party kind of dude, but just a little like lack of, I don't know, whatever, emotional intelligence. I don't know, but like of just cues of like, hey, maybe we haven't spent that much time together. Ease into the lovey-dovey stuff and get to know each other. And it was just like, bam.
Eazy made the mistake of wanting, I don't fault him, but again, if we're breaking this down like right reasons and stuff like that, I think we're in agreement. I don't know Eazy. I've never met the guy. Seems like an all right guy, right? And he's probably not a desperate guy. He probably has not a hard time like with the ladies, so to speak. And it's probably just as nuts to him to say to Tayshia, I think I'm falling in love with you, with absolutely no reason that he should be. But Eazy said it anyways, because you know what he wanted? He wanted not to go home. And he said it for the show. And he didn't mean it. And I guarantee you Eazy's going back to all his friends right now. He'll be like, oh, bro, it was like for the show. And that's fine if he said that. Okay. I don't have a problem. But again, we go back to like right reasons and sincerity. And no one's criticizing Eazy for saying something he didn't mean.
That's okay. So you don't think he meant it?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Do you?
I would no. I mean, I would just, if he did, I would totally stand up and see his side, and his limited time. He didn't get any time to say that in the haunted house to express his feelings as you would on a normal date. So it's just like, I had my shot, I took my shot, and just got straight blocked. So,
yeah. So do you think he meant it, or you think he might have meant it?
I mean, dude, I saw he was definitely shedding a couple tears in the limo home.
Yeah, but that's just he's sad that he's going home.
True. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And I might be wrong. But I'm being
in the limo home, he looked devastated. Like if he did mean it, I could see his side and defend his just going all in with, that half hour, however long the dinners last, going so hard in the paint that it's like, hey, shoot my shot, got blocked. All right, well, going home.
All right, so let me ask you, Russell, what do you think is more likely? So, Eazy's episode comes on. He's watching it with his family or buddies or whatever, and somebody's like texting him, bro, did you really love her? Like, really? You were falling in love? You think he responded with, yeah, man, I really was? Or he's just like, nah, man, that was like for show, and I just I felt like
Tasha's fine though.
Yeah, like I can't prove it, and I don't know if Eazy would ever admit it, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that if there was a way to prove it, I would bet everything I had that it was the latter.
Okay, all right. I don't know, bro. If you see his face in the limo, he's devastated, and I don't think he's that devastated of just not getting to hang with the bros at the house anymore. Like there's some real tears there. I don't know. I could see him actually falling, bro.
Without giving too much away, I don't know if tears in the limo are okay. I mean, who knows why he's crying. Right. But it's entirely possible. It's impossible. Yeah. I don't totally buy it, and I say that liking Eazy, saying there was no and if there was a reason he was falling for Tasha, we didn't get to see it. And in a show that's about love, you would think they would have aired that, right? Sure. And I don't think Eazy is delusional. I don't think he's desperate. I don't think he's, I don't think he's love bombing a bunch of women in his life, just throwing out the L word. Right. Yeah. And so the only other explanation is he just kind of did it because he felt like that's what he was supposed to say on that date, and it burned him, and he felt a little dumb. And then, maybe he is crying because he's thinking about, which does happen. It's like, fuck, what did I just say? And I have to go home and oh my God, this is going to be on TV. And maybe that's why he's crying. I don't know. I don't know why he was crying, but I don't necessarily think tears mean you're sincere about what you claim to be sincere about, because you can be crying about a bunch of different reasons. Yeah. You never really know. But
dude, I see that too, bro. I mean, I see.
I would love to talk to Eazy. I got
sucked into the TV magic.
You know what? And I love that. And that's fine. But it's just one of those things where I only bring it up because we just have a way of, like you said, tears attributing to sincerity, right? Mm-hmm. And think about it in life, how often we express ourselves differently. We talk about love languages, and some people emote, differently. Sometimes it's tears, sometimes it's through the written word, sometimes it's through song, And so a bunch of different ways we can do it. And it's just kind of funny how we perceive certain things. So I don't know.
Dude.
Russell, this has been a ton of fun.
Heck yeah, bro.
Really, breaking down for me. Let the audience know where they can find you. You're doing some great things. Are you on Jimmy Kimmel tonight?
Yeah, we're on Jimmy Kimmel tonight, to Monday, and then we've got Ellen tomorrow, and then we've got the Kelly Clarkson show on Thursday. So
what a great!
This is our
man. So lucky to have you taking the time to share us with some of these real shows.
Absolutely.
So yeah, where can people find you? Where can your new songs that can Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, we're on
spread the word.
Instagram
man.
is Russell RussellEd, and my music's everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Just search Russell Dickerson. My new album Southern Symphony is out December 4th, and we're just stoked on that, man. Awesome. I can't wait to get this music out.
Great. Congratulations on that. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Tomorrow we have Jody from Love on the Spectrum, which is in a fantastic episode talking about, if you like the show Love on the Spectrum on Netflix, you'll love this episode. But Jody's also a sexologist, and we talk about just relationships in general, sex, spicing up in the bedroom with someone we've been married to forever. Also, we talk about autism, the spectrum, and it's just a very fascinating and interesting conversation with a very delightful person. Make sure to check that out tomorrow. Other than that, send your questions at asknick@castmedia.com, cast with a K, for our Ask Nick episodes. We appreciate Russell joining us. Tons of fun. Check out his new music. Check out his performance on Jimmy Kimmel. And if there's nothing else, we will see you tomorrow.